It started with two sisters. Raised under the same roof, shared the same meals, wore the same hand-me-downs, and once whispered childhood secrets under the covers. She was the golden child, the first to go to college, and the one who landed a top-tier job straight out of school. Sabrina was the dreamer, creative, spontaneous, and empathetic. She struggled early in life, hopping between gigs before Elaine brought her into Sterling & Shaw, the elite PR firm where Elaine was already climbing the ladder. But by the time their story reached the 17th floor of a prestigious corporate firm in downtown Atlanta, only one would walk away, and the other wouldn't leave alive. But she was a natural. Clients loved her creativity, and soon, executives were bypassing older staff, including Elaine, to get Sabrina's input. It didn't help that Sabrina never bragged. Her humility only made Elaine's competitive streak burn hotter. Elaine and Sabrina Collins had always been opposites. Elaine, the older one by 3 years, was calculated, ambitious, and polished. She stopped returning Sabrina's calls. When they passed in the hallway, Elaine gave her nothing more than a nod. The once inseparable sisters now worked like strangers. To outsiders, it looked like sisterly love. But within the walls of that office, jealousy simmered quietly, spreading like invisible smoke. At first, Sabrina worked as a junior associate under another manager. In 2022, the company announced a new position, Vice President of Strategy, a role with a direct path to the C-suite. Elaine had been gunning for it for years. She had mentored people, led campaigns, and stayed loyal to the company. But whispers began. Elaine started subtly sabotaging her sister's projects, misplacing files, forgetting to schedule meetings, or sending outdated documents to clients. Sabrina noticed, but she said nothing. Maybe she still believed blood was thicker than boardrooms. But when the promotion was announced, it wasn't her name on the memo. It was Sabrina. Elaine's heart didn't just sink, it curdled. Sabrina didn't even apply for the job, it had been offered to her after she closed a massive international client deal. The first day was professional, but tense. Elaine stayed distant. Sabrina stayed back to prepare slides for her presentation. Sabrina tried to act normal, but her guard was up. Smiling, arms around each other. She tore it in half. Sabrina opened the door and smiled faintly. The door closed behind them. One of the housekeepers found Sabrina lying on the floor of her cabin suite. Eyes wide open. No visible wounds. The mug was shattered beside her. The executive team would spend 3 days bonding, strategizing, and unwinding away from the chaos of the city. Sabrina was on the verge of launching a major campaign for the company. She had every reason to live. The executive board said she had a vision and fresh energy. Elaine was told she could reapply for consideration the next year. And Elaine's. That night, Elaine skipped the company party and instead sat in her apartment, staring at a picture of the two of them from their childhood. Over the next few months, things got tense. Elaine became distant at work. Sabrina tried to bridge the gap. "I never meant to take anything from you," she told her one afternoon, cornering her in the break room. "You didn't take it," Elaine replied. "They handed it to you, and you took it anyway." Then, she claimed it was a prank gone wrong. Finally, the truth spilled out. The company didn't know about the full extent of their growing rift. Until one morning, she received an anonymous email with the subject line, "Sisters at War, a climb to the top that ended in blood," headlined every major outlet. They played her recorded statement to the jury. They showed the oleander purchase, the sabotage, the anonymous email she had sent to her own sister as a psychological tactic. Collins, the company she now sits in the Fulton County Women's Correctional Facility. Occasionally, she grants interviews, still composed, still measured, still calling it a mistake, issued a formal seasoned with years of resentment, and served in the silence of a sister's smile. Apology and pledge to implement better mental health and conflict resolution protocols within the workplace. Was her office remained untouched, for trust is the most dangerous currency. And sometimes, the sharpest knives don't come from enemies, but from those who once shared your last name. Months, flowers placed weekly by a receptionist who said Sabrina once stayed late to help her fix a broken report she wasn't even assigned to. Found guilty, the truth is harder to swallow. Of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She's planning something. Inside was a screenshot from Elaine's computer, a drafted resignation letter from Sabrina's email account, along with notes indicating potential fake allegations of misconduct. Her lawyers claimed it was a lapse in judgment driven by workplace jealousy. Sabrina froze. Sterling and Shaw hosted an annual retreat at a luxury cabin resort deep in the Georgia mountains. Both sisters attended. That night, after dinner, the group dispersed. Some went to the hot tub, others to the game room. Elaine approached her room. Surveillance footage later showed Elaine walking in, holding 2 mugs of hot chocolate. That was the last time anyone saw Sabrina alive. The next morning, screams echoed through the corridor. Paramedics were called. Cause of death, poisoning. In her system was a lethal dose of oleandrin, a toxin derived from the oleander plant, bitter, deadly, and traceable. Elaine was stoic during questioning. She claimed Sabrina must have ingested something by accident. But investigators weren't convinced. There were no signs of suicide. No notes. No mental health issues. And then, the forensic team found something. The broken mug had fingerprints, 2 sets. Sabrina's. Detectives dug into the sisters' work history, emails, and security footage. What they uncovered painted a chilling picture. Multiple colleagues reported growing tension between the sisters. Elaine had searched how to erase digital files remotely and undetectable plant poisons weeks prior. Surveillance from a gardening shop 2 days before the retreat showed Elaine buying ornamental oleander plants. A deleted draft email was recovered from Elaine's laptop addressed to HR, accusing Sabrina of financial misconduct, dated the week after the retreat. Elaine's calm exterior cracked during interrogation. First, she denied everything. I gave her a small dose, just enough to make her sick, just enough to make her step down. I didn't mean to kill her. But she had. The trial became a media sensation. Elaine's defense argued for manslaughter, not murder. But the prosecution painted a different picture, one of a cold, calculated woman who let ambition overrule humanity. After 3 weeks, the jury deliberated for just 6 hours. The Sterling and Shaw retreat cabins were shut down permanently after the incident. Sabrina was honored posthumously with a scholarship in her name for young women in business. As for Elaine, but for those who knew them both, it wasn't just a crime of passion. It was a slow-boiling betrayal, in the world of power and profit.